In a small African village where the soil once overflowed with blessings, a man committed the greatest betrayal imaginable. He buried his own brother alive beneath a farm of gold. Watch how justice finds its way. Please follow, like and comment on what you learn at the end of this story. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the small village of Ajeo, where the earth was red and the sun was unforgiving, two brothers stood over their father's grave. The younger one, Ode, had tears in his eyes and dirt on his hands from years of honest farming. The elder, Boko, wore fine city clothes and a dry, unreadable expression. When the village elder read the will, everyone went silent. The farmland, the only valuable inheritance, was to be shared equally between the two sons. The villagers smiled at Ode but watched Boko closely. They knew his heart. Boko had always believed the world owed him more than it gave. That night, while Ode prayed in gratitude, Boko sat alone in darkness, his jaw clenched. He whispered to himself, "Half a land for a fool who never left the village." Never. Boko did not sleep that night. A dangerous decision had already taken root. A few days later, a frail old stranger collapsed at the edge of the farm. His clothes were torn, his lips cracked with thirst. Ade rushed to help him without hesitation. But Boko stormed out of the house in anger. "Chase him away!" Boko shouted. "We don't feed bad omens here." When Boko left, Ode returned quietly with water and food. The old man ate slowly, his eyes gentle but deep with secrets. Before departing at dawn, he pressed a small, unusual seed into its palm. "Kindness never returns empty," the stranger whispered. That same week, dark clouds gathered over the village for the first time in years. Rain fell, not across the village, but only on the brothers' farmland. Days passed, and the strange seed sprouted louder and faster than any crop the villagers had ever seen. Corn rose high. Yams grew thick. Vegetables ripened overnight. People came from neighboring villages just to stare. Ode rejoiced and prepared baskets for widows and the poor. Boko, however, said nothing. He stared at the farm each night with calculating eyes. At the village square, people began to whisper. "The blessing follows Ode," one said. "His heart is pure," said another. Boko overheard every word. That night, Boko looked at his brother not as family but as a living key to endless wealth. Boko secretly sold much of the harvest and hid the money. When Ode discovered fewer crops in the storage barn, he confronted him gently. Boko exploded in anger, accusing Ode of wanting praise and attention. During another argument, Ode mentioned the stranger and the seed. Boko went silent. "A seed?" he asked slowly. "Yes," Ode replied. "But the blessing is from God, not the seed." Boko smiled for the first time in weeks. In his heart, a dark belief formed. If the blessing follows Ode, then Ode must never leave. That night, Boko sharpened his farming machete. Under the cover of moonlight, Boko called Ode to the field, pretending he wanted peace. Ode followed, believing in reconciliation. As they stood at the center of the flourishing crops, Boko struck. One blow. Then another. Ode fell without a scream. Realizing what he had done, Boko dug into the same soil that once fed them both. He buried his own brother at the heart of the farm, where the soil was richest. "Now the blessing is truly mine," he whispered. The next morning, the crops grew even faster than before. The land accepted the body but not the crime. Years passed. Boko became wealthy and powerful. He built a large house, took a wife, and was feared across the region. Yet strange things began happening. Crops near the burial spot grew deformed. Livestock refused to graze there. Worse still, Boko began seeing Ode in his dreams, standing in the field, whispering, "You planted death and expected life." Soon after, Boko's only child fell dangerously ill. No medicine worked. The doctor whispered, This sickness does not live in the body, it lives in the land. Wells dried up on Bokko's property but overflowed for nearby farms. His wife began having nightmares of blood-soaked crops. Villagers avoided his land. An old village diviner confronted him. A stolen blessing always rots, the old man warned. The land is rejecting you. Bokko threatened him into silence. That very night, part of Bokko's house collapsed without wind or rain. The earth itself was preparing to testify. Ade's childhood friend never stopped searching for him. During a violent storm, lightning struck the center of the farm, cracking open the soil. Blood-darkened earth appeared. Bones were visible. The village council summoned Bokko. He denied everything. But fear now lived openly in his eyes. At dawn, the villagers returned with shovels. The people dug. Shovel after shovel struck silence, until a skull emerged from the soil, followed by the remains of Ode and the strange broken seed. The truth exploded across the village. Bokko fell to his knees, screaming in terror as thunder rolled across the dead crops. He confessed everything. Lightning struck the field, and in one moment, every green plant withered into dust. But the curse had one final payment to collect. Bokko was stripped of his wealth and cast out by the same people who once praised him. He wandered, poor and forgotten, begging for food he once hoarded. When Ade's remains were reburied with honor, the land slowly healed. Months later, crops grew again, but this time for everyone, not just one man. The diviner revealed the final truth. The blessing was never in the seed. It lived in Ade's selfless heart. When he died, the land mourned. Bokko died alone beneath a tree he never owned. And the village never forgot the lesson. Final moral. Greed steals for a moment. But kindness feeds generations.